Bhajakacharya, Austere Sati Shri Sriman, His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada Ki, Ananta Gaudiya Vaishnavinda Ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki, Prem Shri Gaur Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivas Adi Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki, Shri Shri Radha Rasabihariji Ki, Shri Shri Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Ki, Yamuna Mayi Ki, Ganga Mayi Ki, Tulsi Devi Ki, Bhakti Devi Ki, Juhu Yatra Ki. All glories to the seven devotees. All glories to the seven devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. We'll start with the invocation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Tasmad Brahmana Devishu Marja Dishu Yatarataha Tastai Kamer Yajeshvinam Kshetrajam Brahmanam Anu Tasmad Brahmana Devishu Marjadishu Yatarhataha Tastayakamer Yajeshvinam Kshetrajam Brahmanan Manu. Brahmana Devishu Ladies? Anyone else want to try? Tasman Brahmana Devishu So are we translating into Hindi or only English? Someone translates to Hindi or not? No? Okay. Tasmat, therefore, Brahmana Devishu, through the Brahmanas and the demigods, Marja Adishu, through ordinary human beings and other living entities, Yata Artaha, according to your ability, Tai Tai, with all those, Kamai, various objects of enjoyment such as sumptuous food, flower garlands, sandalwood paste, etc. Yajeshva, you should worship Enan, this Kshetragyan, Supreme Lord situated in the hearts of all living beings. Brahmanan, the Brahmanas. Anu, after. Translation. Therefore, my dear king, first offer prasadam unto the Brahmanas and the demigods, and after sumptuously feeding them, you may distribute prasad to other living entities according to your ability. In this way, you will be able to worship all living entities, or in other words, the supreme living entity within every living entity. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. To distribute prasadam to all living entities, the process is that we must first offer prasadam to the Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas, for the demigods are represented by the Brahmanas. In this way, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in everyone's heart, will be worshipped. This is the Vedic system of offering prasad. Whenever there is a ceremony for distribution of prasad, the prasad is offered first to the Brahmanas, then to the children and old men, then to the women, and then to animals like dogs and other domestic animals. When it is said that Narayan, the Supreme Being, is situated in everyone's heart, this does not mean everyone has become Narayan, or that a particular poor man has become Narayan. Such a conclusion is rejected herein. Om Jnana Timaranyasa Gnana Salakaya Chaksuran Milatanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So there are several key points in here, and it is all summed up around the line that says, you will be able to worship all living entities. In other words, the supreme living entity within every living entity. So several different concepts are given here. Sometimes people wonder, should I serve God and neglect man? Or is it just that service to God is automatically service to man? People have these two dilemmas, whether it's one or the other. But this is what the Greeks would call a false dichotomy. It's not one or the other. We serve people in relation to God. And this takes things out of the mode of selfishness. Just like, amazingly enough, we don't eat food. We eat prasadam, food that's offered to God. But we don't cook prasadam. They say they're cooking prasadam, but actually you cook food, then it becomes offered to Krishna, and then it becomes prasadam. So Krishna makes the prasadam when we make the food. Krishna eats the food, we eat the prasadam. It doesn't become prasadam till after it is given to Krishna. Then when he gives it to us, it is mercy. So of course we see mercy in the form of prasadam can be in several forms, not just in the form of food. And we see the point is here that all living entities have a spiritual spark, and God has entered into the heart of all living entities. So the difference is not in quality, but in quantity. So we can serve the living entities, but we serve them in relationship to God. As Prabhupada said, how can you make circles that don't conflict with each other? You draw the circles so that they all have the same center. It's called concentric circles. One circle is here, another circle is here. If they all have the same center, they don't intersect or conflict with each other. So what we must have is that when we're serving living entities, we're serving them with God as the center, not with ourselves as the center, or with the living entities as the center. So we all have that spiritual spark in us, but since it is a part of Krishna, we must connect the people together. The idea is described that God is the root of the tree, and we are all the different leaves on the tree. So maybe some are on a different branch of the tree, some are older leaves, some are darker and lighter leaves, but they're all on the same tree with God as the root. So if we want to have the leaves grow on the tree, do I pick one leaf that's my leaf and I climb to the top of the tree and only put water on that leaf? Because as long as I water my leaf, who cares about the tree? You can even chop it down as long as I water my leaf. Will that work? No, we have to water the root of the tree. And we see that when the branches are connected, leaves are connected to the branches, and branches are connected to the trunk, and trunk is connected to root of tree, then the leaves grow very nicely. But if we cut the leaf or we cut the trunk, they start to dry up. So we have to ask ourselves these questions in life. That, am I connected to the root of the tree? Ourselves as the leaves, we must be connected to the branch, but we have to make sure that our branch stays connected to the root of the tree. Sometimes people associate with people who are not doing well and people who are not practicing a bona fide process. And then, even if you are connected to the branch, if the branch becomes disconnected from the tree, we'll still suffer. So we have to work very hard to stay connected to this tree and stay watered. Watering is the process that keeps the tree growing. So we have to be very careful in this way to water this root of the tree and to make sure that we are also taking care of all the other leaves that are on the tree. And the leaves are, of course, the other people. So we don't worship people instead of God, but we don't neglect the people. We have to realize that we are all connected and that we should be serving others in this way. So that we see, to form a proper society, we need the head of society first. All of the parts are important. Brahmanas are like the head, Kshatriyas are like the arms that protect, and the Vaishyas are like the stomach that feeds the rest, and the legs are like the Sudras who do the work. And all the parts of the body are important. You wouldn't want to lose a leg or a hand. But most of all, you wouldn't want to lose a head. Because without a head, you can't do anything. So this is why Prabhupada stressed in the beginning. Now we have Brahmins and Brahmacharis, but we also have so many congregation members who come to the temple. But in the beginning, in America, you would have people join the temple. People would just find out about this Krishna consciousness, and they would be asked to give up their house, move into the temple, put on saffron cloth, and live like a brahmachari. This is a big step for people, without even having much notice. When Tamal Krishna Swami and Vishnu Janan Swami would travel in a bus, later they had other Swamis travel in other buses, they would go preach at the college, and Tamal Krishna Swami would talk to the people and get them to shave up and join the very first day that they had come in contact with Krishna consciousness. Imagine that. Told that they should follow this and go along, and right away they become brahmacharis. We have brahmacharis here in many parts of India, but in America it seems a little harder to make brahmacharis now. But this was the goal then. Because if we have brahmacharis to do preaching, and brahmanas to do teaching, and brahmanas to offer the puja, and to keep the deity service going, then we will have a spiritual center for the other people. And this is why brahmanas need to be taken first, and we need to create some brahmanas. People have the idea that you're only Brahmin if you are born in a Brahmin family. Yet, we don't find people caring when they go to a doctor for an operation. They want to see that this doctor has become qualified in the medical field, not whether his parents were doctors. I went with Prabhupada to J. Om Prakash's house, the biggest movie producer in India in the 70s. And he ruined the Indian movies for me because he said the Indian movies are silly. He said they'll be ready to kill each other, and then they say, but first we'll have a dance. And they come out and do a dance before they kill each other, and then they go back to fighting. So it kind of defies logic of how they're acting, but it is for entertainment form. But that night, after Prabhupada spoke, many of the Indian actors, like Rajesh Khanna and Devanand and the 4 Kapoor brothers, all became life members. And from those 4 Kapoor brothers, so many actors and actresses have come. But not every Kapoor is an actor or actress. Is it true? People won't go to see a movie just because there's a Kapoor in it. It doesn't mean that. And somebody can be born in a family that's not an actor, and if they like the movie, they'll still go to see it. So we find that in other areas of life, they're not as concerned with whether they were born into that caste or not. We find Krishna says, Guna Karma Vibhagashaha, that these are created by quality. It may make it easier if you are born in a family of brahmanas, and easier if you are born in a family of actors to become an actor, but it isn't automatic. A person has to have the tendencies and to do the training. A person has to have these qualities of mercy and austerity and cleanliness, and then they can become a brahmana no matter where they were born. But we see it is important here to serve all the devotees, but we serve the brahmanas first. But it doesn't mean they are the only ones that we serve. And this giving of prasadam can be many things. Prasadam, of course, means mercy. So we give prasadam in the form of food to the brahmanas, and we give the spiritual food to, as it says, to the women and the children and the old people, and then to everyone, including the animals. Other forms of prasadam, books are a form of prasadam, because it is mercy to get the literatures like Bhagavad Gita, spoken by Krishna, or the Srimad Bhagavatam, the book spoken about Krishna, or the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the books showing about the life and teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is a form of mercy. So first, of course, we make sure that books are available for brahmanas, and that classes are available, and that brahmanas are freed from so many responsibilities so that they can study these literatures, because by studying them they will be able to speak this knowledge to others. So we provide that opportunity. That's what we do in a temple. But we also go out, particularly in the month of December, and get books into the hands of as many people as possible. The women, the children, the people who are old or young. We get the books into their hands so that they will be able to understand this philosophy. We make it available to all kinds of people. We can't force it on people. Usually when we distribute prasadam in the form of food, we don't have to worry about forcing it on people. People are automatically happy to get it. But with literature, sometimes they don't want to read or they don't want to buy it. So we make it available to them without forcing them, but trying to convince them of the value of this literature. Because if they are convinced of the value of it, they will automatically want to pay money for it and to read it. This is the point too. If you just give them out, people won't care what it is. But if you convince them they need to buy it, then they must be convinced it's worth reading. Because if someone is convinced they should buy something, they're convinced that it has some intrinsic value. Whereas if you just give it to them, maybe it has no value at all. So we always try to collect something from people, from the book, to show that they appreciate it and to show that they will read it. Because if they have decided that it is worthwhile to pay money for this book, it must also be worthwhile to read it. These books, of course, look very nicely in the bookshelf, but the idea with these books is to get people to read them, to study them, and to apply them in life. And of course, if it is at their home, there is always the opportunity for them to read it and apply it in life. But if we distribute to them nicely, they will automatically develop the desire to want to read this. If we distribute this to them in a way that this is something they really want to read, and they better get them while they're available, then they're of course going to want to take it home and read it. Some devotees were so convinced by the way a book distributor distributed them Bhagavad Gita that they would take it home and read it in 3 days, 2 days, sometimes only 1 day. People have stayed up all night till they finished the whole Bhagavad Gita. So they were convinced that it is worth reading, that it is something of value. So we must understand in our own life that this is something of value, and then help others to realize in their lives it's something of value. Now, of course, as it says here, according to your ability, we do this to our ability. Each one of us has a different ability. If we can distribute a lot of books, that's good. If we can only do a little bit, if that's our ability, then we work according to our capacity. Because each person is getting their potency from Krishna, and therefore whatever they can do is an advantage. There is a good example of this when Lord Rama was here. He was building a bridge to the island of Lanka to recapture Sita from Ravana. And Hanuman was throwing the big boulders in the water, and the squirrel was trying to kick some dust in the water. Sometimes the story is told as a spider, but it's trying to kick the dust in the water. And Hanuman says, "Get out of the way, you are in my way." And the squirrel says, "But I'm trying to help too." And Hanuman says, "What can you do? I am the mighty Hanuman, I can throw big boulders in the water. You can only kick a little dust." So then Lord Rama came along and he said, "Hanuman, what are you doing?" Hanuman says, "I am building this bridge to Lanka, but this squirrel is in my way, trying to kick dirt in the water." And Lord Rama said, "Hanuman, where do you get your strength?" And Hanuman says, "I get it from you, Rama." And Rama says, "Where does the squirrel get his strength?" Hanuman says, "He also gets it from you, my lord." So Rama says, "Then if you're both working according to your capacity, there's no difference, is there? So you should respect the squirrel for the effort that he is trying to do." So we each try to do according to our ability. Like Krishna says, "Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhakta prayachati." Offer me a leaf, a fruit, a flower, and a little water with love and devotion, and I will accept it. But of course, if we have many crores of rupees, then we don't just offer a leaf to Krishna and think, "Well, I gave a leaf to Krishna, what more can he want?" we have to think that we offer the best things to Krishna, and we take the remnants, the mercy, ourselves in the form of prasadam. So we can't think that because Krishna accepts a leaf, a fruit, a flower, that that's all that we should offer. We should try to offer something substantial so that we can purify ourselves, so that we can show we love Krishna, and so we can help spread the Krishna consciousness movement. So we find this, that many devotees are so happy to give the mercy, like serving prasadam or distributing books. Because one day I was looking in the Bhagavad Gita, and I was trying to find a shortcut to devotional service, something that would get me there quicker. And so I kept looking through the chapters. Guess which chapter I found the shortcut in? Which one? One? In the 18th chapter. At least I got a chance to go through the whole Gita. But in the 18th chapter, Krishna says, one who teaches this science to my devotees is the most dear, and never will there be one more dear. So this shows that if someone, Prabhupada says in one of the purports in the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that without faith and love, someone cannot think of Krishna for even a moment. So a devotee sometimes means a pure devotee who is 100% dedicated to Krishna and thinks of nothing else but Krishna and Krishna's service. And sometimes a devotee is anyone who can do even the slightest amount of devotional service. So we try to include everyone in the devotional path. We see here that even though the brahmanas are given the prasadam first, we try to make sure that it is available for everyone. So it is given to all the people involved. So we try to provide Krishna consciousness for everyone, not just for a few people, not just for our people who are in the ashram, or people who live in our hometown, or people who are wearing saffron, but we try to provide this for everyone. And this is the idea, to see that God is within the heart of every living entity. And we will see this more, that he is the root of the tree, as we water the root of the tree. In Bhagavad Gita, the question is asked by Arjuna, that which is better, the person who practices the analytic study of Sankhya, trying to understand what is matter, what is spirit, and who is the controller of both, or someone who just serves you? And Krishna says, one who applies himself well to one of the two processes achieves the results of both. Because if someone really tries to analyze the material nature and study it carefully, he will realize that Krishna is the cause of all causes and all that is. And because Krishna is the root, he will go to water that root. And the person who starts just by watering the root, he will automatically realize that God is the root of all existence, and therefore I must water this root of existence. So when the people who are the leaves on the tree, when we want to satisfy them, we water the root of the tree, but we make sure that they benefit also. And this is what we are doing when we are doing Sankirtan, is we are trying to take the living entities who are a part and parcel of Krishna and reconnect them with Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is why the Sankirtan is like the highest service that someone can do, to go out and encourage other people to take these books home and read it and apply this in their life. So this is why this time of year is good for that. We find that the devotees who are distributing books regularly become the most fixed in Krishna consciousness, because they have to surrender. And when we have to surrender, we make progress towards Krishna. And that is the whole point. We don't care how easy or how difficult it is. Either way, we take advantage of the situation. If it's easy, then we just become thankful that it's easy, and we try to do everything we can in Krishna's service. If it's difficult, then we pray for mercy and try our best to do everything we can, realizing that the goal of serving Krishna is more important than whether it is simple or easy. So we find that we water this tree of devotion and include the living entities in our watering process. And this watering process is the different practices of devotional service, beginning with Shravanam, hearing. Second is Kirtanam, chanting. Third is Smaranam, remembering. Fourth is Seva, hearing. Fifth is worshipping the deity. 7 is Vandanam, prayers. And 8, we make friends with the Lord. And then 9, we surrender everything to the Lord, called Atmanivedanam. So we get to Atmanivedanam, but it is not the beginning of the process of devotional service. It is the end of the process of devotional service to get to Atmanivedanam. But ultimately that is the goal, to surrender everything to Krishna. So we have to realize, as this verse is saying, we have to serve man in some way, but we don't serve man in such a way that we neglect God. And we serve God, but as our service, we don't do it in such a way that we neglect all living entities. This is why we don't all just move to Vrindavan. I felt a few years back when I was all alone. My children were grown and my parents were gone, and I had no wife and no brothers and sisters, that I would just move to Vrindavan. So I stayed in Vrindavan a while, and I thought that I should just stay here and worship Krishna, because Vrindavan is Krishna's place. And then I realized that I should spend some of the time preaching and giving mercy. So I went back to South Africa, where Prabhupada sent me in 1972, and gave some lectures there, and visited Mauritius on the way, and visited other places in the world like Norway and places in America to do some preaching, because I know that I should just worship God in Vrindavan. And so I go there to spend a few months of the year, but I shouldn't only do that. Just like we go to Mangalartik and we chant 16 rounds, but we don't only do that. We also try to help other people by giving them an opportunity to engage in devotional service. And just as it says here, the brahmanas have to be taken care of first, is that when we're giving people the opportunity, we give people the opportunity to purchase literatures and to eat prasadam, but we try to make sure that the continued opportunity is there for people who want to live in a temple and really want to study devotional service. We make sure that books are available, we make sure that classes happen, we make sure that prasadam is served, we make sure that this mercy is given to all people, and we make sure that the brahmanas are given a chance to get this mercy so that they can also give it to others. So we do serve man, but we serve man in relationship to God. Just like the prasadam is given as the example. We don't just offer the prasadam to the deity and then run off and hide and eat it all by ourselves. We share this with other living entities, as the process is explained here. That even though brahmanas are given first, everyone is given a chance, that everyone should be taken care of. And this helps us to do our spiritual duty, and it helps our consciousness, because basically in our consciousness we are either Krishna conscious and we are selfless, or we are selfish and only thinking of ourselves. So when we prepare food so that God can eat it first, and when we distribute it to others, and we care that others get literatures to read about Krishna, then we lose interest in our own selfish things or getting all the things just that we want. We find that so many people in this world are only concerned with what they want. And we find even ourselves as devotees, our selfish interests try to come in sometimes and get to take precedence. But we have to remember that first comes my service, and then if I have to take care of some needs, I should make sure that they are bona fide and that they are limited to the basic needs of the body. So the whole point comes here that we put Krishna as the first circle in our life, and the second circle we help the brahmanas, and then from there we help all other living entities. Because when we help others become Krishna conscious, we automatically become Krishna conscious ourselves. And because we are all originally connected to Krishna, the highest service we can do is try to connect other people to Krishna. And by them doing that, automatically, we will also be benefited. So are there any questions or comments? We started early because of marathon, because they're all going to go and do so many books. Any question or comment? No one has one? How many of you are going on marathon today? Yes? Marathon is good? It is harder with a demonification? You can still do. It's good. Very good. So no question, no comment? Okay, we will end there so you can go on marathon. Jai. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.